Good morning. All right, well, I figured I'd start my session with a transformational statement, something you've probably never heard. It's going to be the only reason you came here. Are you ready for it?
Oh, yeah.
The future is AI. Right?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like those content writers in ELF when they were pitching their book ideas to the publisher, kind of end with one of those. It's kind of this awkward thing, and you're like, it doesn't really, the impact of that statement, right, is just kind of soft anymore. We're hearing it so much. And the reality is because a lot of the VARs and MSPs are stuck. Not sure where to go, not sure how to navigate that. And that's where we were at vTECH.io. We were in that place. There were some decisions that we made. There were some steps that we took that I want to share with you today. I'm here giving an offering. I want to share some of the insights that we've done and seen and how it's worked for us to help you succeed. And in doing that, we were able to build a sustainable, repeatable AI solutions division that roughly produced around 5 to 6 million in year one. And we see that continuing to grow in year two. And to be honest with you, I like how Todd says it, they're small steak dinners, but we started the conversation at the end point. And so what we do is we decided, because we're mainly SMB, and a lot of you are probably in that SMB market, it's hard to go into a conversation starting to talk about data centers and GPUs and $1 million projects. What we chose to do was bundle every PC with Eternal's air gap AI. And we bundle it for free, and we use some of our MDF money to offset the cost of that. And after we sell a PC, whether they know they got it or not, we initiate a conversation in about 2 weeks to demo what air gap AI can do for them. And believe it or not, that demo has led to many, many, many conversations. In fact, in December, I closed an opportunity with 600 hours of AI development work. But it started with one simple conversation on the endpoint. So definitely something to keep your mind on. But I want you guys to think back when you were younger. How many of you learned how to swim because your parents bought lessons for you? Raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, good for you guys. How many of you learned from a friend or a peer? Yeah. How many of you, your parents threw you in the water or someone else threw you in the water and you had to figure it out? Yeah, that's right. That's the best way to go. Well, is this true? What we're trying to do here is we're trying to read a manual and go to a conference and create a solutions practice. People don't learn how to swim by reading a book or going to an event. You have to get in the water, you have to practice, you have to swim, you have to struggle, right? And it's the same thing, and this is the game changer, what we have figured out. It has to start at the highest level, okay? So I want to introduce this term that I was trying to really put my head around, but this term I've come up with is leadership constrained, okay? What that means is until someone in your organization at the highest level or high levels choose to become a student and practitioner of AI, you will always be stuck. It has to come at the highest level. I'm a partner in the organization. I was in charge of a sales team, but I saw this early and I thought, you know what? I'm going back to school. I have to go back to school. I got to learn things. I got to get back into this program, okay? And I did it on my own, but eventually, we moved through the chaos. But what does chaos look like? Chaos looks like this. Your customers are coming to you on a daily basis and they're saying, we want to move into AI. Our leadership's asking us to move and get into AI. And then your follow-on is, oh really, that's great, what are you looking into? What kind of things are you trying to do? We don't know. And then you don't have enough expertise or background to even land them anywhere. That's chaos, right? That's actually chaos. How many of you feel like you're there right now where some of your customers are asking you and you're just like, I have no idea where to take you? Chaos also looks like this. It looks like going to multiple events that talk about AI and tell you AI is everything. Even the OEMs are putting AI into their solutions. You got to know it all. You got to figure it out at all. And you leave, you're just so confused, you don't know where to start. That's chaos. How many of you are there? This is probably your 50th conference about AI, right, that you've been to or heard about AI in the last year or two. The other thing that's chaos is when your own internal team is not aligned, your staff, your leadership, right? I remember the first conversation I had about building an AI solutions practice, my CISO looked at me and he said, AI is the Antichrist. That was his answer to me when I said we've got to build a go-to-market strategy. And guess what? We left the CISO out of the conversation for 6 months. I'm not kidding you. And eventually and I had my, my other partners in line, and eventually when we built a practice and brought him back in, he's excited now. Because now he can apply security principles that he knows to AI that's working really well for our customers. Crazy though, chaos. What calmed the chaos with us was when we made that internal decision, we got rid of that leadership constraint and we signed up for Destination AI. Okay, Destination AI, I've said it, you see my name on quotes everywhere. The most tangible, practical workshop and training I've ever been through to transform a business, okay? I've got two master's degrees, 3 undergraduate degrees, more education than you want to know, and I will tell you that the content of this is outstanding. The individuals who lead this, that put this material together, Ed Morales, David Chow, Shannon, I'm thinking of Jade, I don't know, I can't name them all. But the individuals and the people that are doing this training are phenomenal leaders. And if you get to know them well, they'll take this journey with you. And so we began to become practitioners. We signed up for this, we took it seriously, we went through the program. We began to automate workflows internally within vTECH.io. We began to do it. Then we would have meetings where we would talk about different things we've learned and prompts that we would use and how to get better at things, and then moved on from there. And so what came out of this was kind of the beginning of our business plan. And you gotta have a business plan, right? AI is not just about tech, it's a business plan. And this is what we landed on. So our vision is to have the most comprehensive AI ecosystem, okay, for customers. In other words, long term, if anybody comes to me for anything AI, I want to be able to say yes. That's my vision, okay? Now, the other thing we did was we came up with this statement about making AI practical. That really resonated with customers. Once we honed in on this business plan, we did 32 events in 90 days in partnership with Intel and TD SYNNEX, and created a great pipeline. And we worked with the TD SYNNEX partners to help deliver some of that content and move out of the chaos. I want to show you something that we built internally ourselves. We developed this. This is our AI website, vtechio.ai, and we use this to serve our customers.
Meet Alex. She's vTECH's AI avatar. She's here to help and answer any questions you might have about how vTECH.io can serve you. Take a listen.
Well, good morning, Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing great and ready to assist you with your IT and cybersecurity needs. At vTECH.io, we focus on providing top-notch solutions.
And that's a really short version of it, but that's Alex, our AI avatar. You can get a server configured there, communicating verbally or with the chat. You can get a laptop configuration. You can learn a lot about my company. We built that in a clean environment with an LLM using RAG. And instead of unleashing AI on all the data that we knew wasn't ready, because that's what you hear all the time, we created a clean environment. And if there's something I want to teach you, it's that. If everybody's telling you our data's not ready, our network's not ready, the answer is yes, and it never will be. If that's what's going to hold you back from AI, you're done. Let's start clean. And I can't get into all of what that looks like, but there's ways to create a clean environment, brand new, net new from zero, and unleash AI on it to do what you want it to do. So every practice needs 3 things. The first thing is that trained, skilled internal core, starting with you. You have to bust that leadership constraint. You have to become a practitioner. You have to be that champion. That's why you're here today. You have to go back and light the fire, start learning, start showing people what AI can do for you. Then you get this ecosystem, okay? And the ecosystem is a series of partners, okay? And this is interesting to me because I think this is foreign for VARs and MSPs, this idea of an ecosystem. You hear it a lot, but I don't think you do it very often. Do you know who mainly does ecosystem? OEMs. They know what ecosystems are and how to leverage them to deliver things. We don't. So I had to start thinking differently about what does it mean to have an ecosystem. Through TD Synnex, through PartnerLink, and other providers that I brought into the table, I can deliver almost anything from an AI perspective. And you know how many people I had to hire? 0. And I'm doing a lot of complex projects. And then you need to know the entry points. In other words, when that customer does come to you and say, we want to do AI, we need your help, you have to know where to start. Where do you want to start? And for us, those entry points have become quite broad, but you can steal this if you want, take a picture of it and make it your own, I don't mind. But what we decided to do was create 4 categories of entry points for AI. Call them 4 buckets. And the first one is the most obvious, governance and security, right? That's a bucket, that's a very big bucket. And where do you start there? We've been writing, acceptable use policies, helping people understand, policies and procedures and things like that with AI and other things. But then we created another bucket called AI for end user productivity. And this is the most famous one. This is the one that everybody's already doing. You're already using Grok and ChatGPT and all these tools. This isn't foreign to people. So let's start there. But let's do it securely. Let's do it in a way that is more customized for your organization to get the outcomes you're hoping for. And that is where most of the time we're steering people, okay? And if you do it securely, all of that governance and documentation doesn't have to necessarily be in place first. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but I'm just saying, until you get people moving and seeing that AI really works, they're not gonna care about governance or security. You've gotta get them moving. You've gotta get some inertia going. We have AI for internal operations where we are automating processes. A lot of that's machine learning, believe it or not. It's just under the auspice of AI, but I find it really cool that we're doing some machine learning projects. I'll talk about one that we're doing later. And then AI for customer experience. In other words, I want to serve my customers. I want to actually do things for my customers that matter. So that Alex chatbot avatar that we have, she's had 900 conversations in 8 months from our customers or visitors. Every single conversation I have logged. I know what they're talking about. They already know it when they hit it, that's happening. And my engine is learning from those conversations and getting better and smarter each time. And that's valuable data, because what are the people asking out there? You want to know that, right? So this is where I look at people in the room, the customers. Look at a customer and say this to you. I'm going to say this to you, Mike. Mike, if I could deliver an AI solution to you that had significant ROI, low risk, and completely secure, would you buy it? Would you do it?
Yes.
Of course. Who's going to say no to that? That's the thing I ask every customer. Those 3 things. If we can do that for you, will you do it? And the ROI needs to be small at first. It's not like you're going to transform the entire organization. But what if I could take a 5-hour process and make it 20 minutes? What if I could help your finance folks? What if I could help your HR folks? And then they're like, whoa, what just happened here? How did you do that, right? But those are the 3 elements you have to be able to do, and you can do that through these partnerships. And then you, of course, got to help folks understand, what's the ROI? Like, what are we really getting out of this? And I got to tell you, you ever read that book, How to Lie with Statistics? I think that's a book in the MBA program of some of the really, no, I'm just kidding. But you do have to get a little creative when it comes to ROI. That's part of business. You don't actually know exactly how everything is going to pan out. You have to sort of envision it, kind of hope for it, lead toward that. Well, you got to start doing some of that. You got to start getting down to it. How many hours can I save? Can I remove people from certain roles and align them to others? Perhaps lay some people off. That is happening. Can I reduce errors? Whatever it might be. You have to be able to communicate this. Destination AI helps you understand how to do that and communicate that to your customers. Now, I wanted to go back to this ecosystem idea, because this is a topic I think you have to spin your head as a VAR and MSP. How many of you sell Dell here? Raise your hand. How many of you sold a power store or a power scale? Anybody? Okay. If you sell a Dell power store or power scale, this is what I always ask my reps. I go, when you're talking to the customer, do you tell them that there's 25 other vendors involved in delivering that solution? And Dell doesn't even support it, they outsource it to Unisys or some other provider. Do you say that to the customer when they buy it? No. What do you tell them? We're getting a power store. Perfect. But you know that Dell delivers that through an ecosystem? There's an ecosystem that delivers all of those things. Dell isn't doing it all. They're bringing in partners. Here are some of the partners that provide the full ecosystem, right? Dell's the core, the hardware. They got NVIDIA as part of the core. And then they have all these other partners in their ecosystem to deliver PowerStore. What does it do when you tell customers all the details, all the recipe? What does that do? It stalls them. It confuses them. The same thing here with AI. You can't do this. You cannot tell them all the ingredients. That's your privilege, IP, right? Does vTECH IO deliver this? Yes. I manage and oversee it all. It will execute the way I'm going to have it execute. Whoever shows up in what uniform or what logo, that doesn't matter. It's under my leadership. Your customers have to trust you and understand that. So we built this ecosystem, and this is how we deliver our practice. So we're the core, okay? Staff training, our certifications. We went through the training of Destination AI. We built our business plan. We've gotten to the point of being able to consult with AI. We're building use case roadmaps for people. What job do you have? We're helping them understand what you can do with AI to actually see ROI. We're using AI PCs. We're leveraging the cloud for AI for some of our solutions. So this is our internal expertise and core. We just keep getting better and better and better at it. But to deliver, I've got these partners right here. So for workplace productivity, I have AirGate AI with Eternal. That's my go-to. You can pick whatever one you want, but I love them. I love what they do because it's completely local, completely secure, requires no internet to function. How more secure can you get than that? We use Waypoint, Microsoft Copilot, Dell, Intel, NVIDIA, TD SYNNEX to deliver in-user solutions, okay? AI for internal operations, same thing, AirGap, Blockify with Eternal, Waypoint, auto reports. I have a partner called Ultrasen that I use for Python coding and development work. TD SYNNEX and Dell are a part of that. And you can see on and on. And I've just added a new partner in my governance and security line for my AI ecosystem. Things are just rapidly moving out there and you're seeing that people are really progressing quick. But this is the ecosystem and how we deliver solutions to people, and we've done a fairly good job at it so far. And so it starts with one workflow, one small workflow, moves on to the second one, moves on to agents, then you start talking about LLMs and governance frameworks, and suddenly you have a practice, okay? And I want to share an example of this with you. So the largest yacht insurance company, yacht providing insurance company in the country, actually is out of Sarasota, Florida. What a fun job, right? You provide insurance for yachts. And so the way those insurance works right at this point is they go to their website, they fill out a form. I have a 75-foot yacht. This is its name. This is the number of engines. This is the kind of fuel. There's a lot of descriptions that go into it. That's put into a form online. That form is then sent to Salesforce automatically, and then Salesforce assigns it to a sales rep internally. The sales rep wakes up in the morning, and there's their assignment from Salesforce. It has all that background. They're asked to produce 5 to 7 quotes for that customer on what the best insurance would be for that particular yacht. That's how it works right now. So after showing them AirGap AI and working through those things, they said, we have a real problem. And I'm like, what? And they said, well, we get 30,000 quote requests a year over the internet, but we can only answer 15,000 of them roughly. Really, why is that? We just don't have enough staff to handle all the requests. So what do? Well, we look at the biggest boat and the biggest premium, and that's the ones we quote. The rest of them we just don't worry about. Oh, okay. And I said, so what if you could capture all 30,000? What would that do to your bottom line? Well, I don't know, that would be interesting. Well, let's take a look at it. So we did. John Hamby and Eternal, we did a proof of value for them and proved to them that we were able to do this. We can get all 30,000 quotes. We can produce the 5 quotes through automation without a human being doing it. And the only time a person has to be involved is when they're going to close the deal or answer some last-minute questions. That's what we're working on right now. That was the 600-hour project that we've been moved on from POC to now we're actually doing the full development work. Can you imagine what 15,000 additional quotes would do to the revenue side? I can't wait for this one. Like, this is going to be my flagship. They're excited. Like, they're writing me and they're going, we can't wait to see what this does. Me either. Pretty fascinating stuff. So here's some of the home runs that we've experienced. You saw some of them on the video, but really rewarding for us though, it's just seeing this AI movement actually get teeth. It's just the most frustrating thing. I don't know, some of you don't know this, but I was a colonel in the military, served 31 years, and I'm all about execution. When somebody's talking too much about too many things and not doing anything, it just really irritates me. I don't know why. It's just the way I was raised. It's just the way, on the battlefield and when you're in wartime, you just don't have a whole lot of time for stuff not getting done. And that just continued to wire into me. How do I do this in a public sector, private sector? And so for me, if you're like me and you're irritated, let's hang out, because I'll help you move the ball down the field and get you some teeth and traction and get you some wins. But these are some of our wins. We're giving hours back to people. We actually sold NVIDIA GPU servers to a client in New Jersey who's hosting their own LLM. But guess what? It didn't start there. It started at the endpoint. The conversation started at the endpoint. User workflow that led us to the next complex thing, that led us to the next complex thing. It goes from there to the data center. Rarely do you see data center first. Those are going to be the big ones. I'm talking to Accenture a little bit right now. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're doing. But that's a 770,000 employee company. You got a little different resources than most SMBs out there, right? So they're not going to talk about that. And this is the why. I'm actually consulting a company next 2 weeks, their leadership, and they're saying, why should we do AI? Why should we change our practice? And this is the answer. So vTECH IO's tip of the spear, our go-to-market is AI and cybersecurity. You know why? Because those are the hottest topics in the market. Those are the things that everybody's trying to figure out. They're the most complex subjects. When I walk in, I don't talk about laptops. When I walk in, I'm not asking them about network switches. When I walk into a customer conversation, it's that. And guess what happens when I sell or show demonstration of expertise with AI and cybersecurity? Guess what happens? I win the whole stack. I win it all. Because if they can trust me, if they can trust me to do the most complex things that this market is dealing with right now, they could surely buy a PC from me. They could surely buy a network switch from me. They can surely buy a server. Okay? And if you're not starting with that tip of the spear, someone else is going to be talking to your customer that is. And I've got a full list of them right now that I'm going after. I don't know if any of yours are on the list, but they might be. So beware. Just kidding. But this is really the most important thing. And it was funny because 5 years ago, I just talked about cybersecurity as the tip of the spear. And I built a huge cybersecurity practice at vTECH. But do you know how many servers, and I mean, when you're walking around and doing a pen test or a vulnerability assessment, do you realize the hardware you can see? Do you realize what you can have visibility to when you're doing some of those things? And eventually I get an after action report that says, server's 5 years old, out of warranty, network's this. Okay, next meeting, let's talk about hardware. Right now, AI and cybersecurity should be the tip of the spear, which means that you have to be the leader that is no longer constrained. Break out of it, become a practitioner, work with TD Synnex and Destination AI, Iternal, the partners that are here, because that will help you win. So thank you very much for your time, and hope it was beneficial to you.